From a wealthy, eccentric adventurer and paleontologist known as Baron Franz Nopixa von Felso-Silvas, the first person to ever hijack a plane mid-flight, to that fateful September morning when 2 planes were sent flying into the World Trade Center, skyjacking is a story of pop culture stars, escaped mental patients, and normal civilians looking for a change in society. There's an endless list of skyjackers. D.B. Cooper, David Burke, Francis Goodall, Richard McCoy, Antulia Ortiz, and Muhammad Atta, just to name a few. This group of people exemplifies the diversity among hijackers, from a want for money, vengeance, redemption, fame, and a want for a new world. They all had different motives and different stories. Skyjacking, a phenomenon driven by many individuals' desperate want for change that ultimately reshaped the world, ending skyjacking forever. From search for political asylum to political terrorism, skyjacking is a story 106 years old. A turbulent tale of how the people of America discovered a new, terrifying crime and made it a common occurrence during the 60s and 70s, leading up to the new millennium, in an event that would change airline security and travel for the rest of time. Fast forward to 1971. It's the night before Thanksgiving, and it's pouring, like any other fall day in the Pacific Northwest. Enter Dan Cooper, a man donning close-cropped hair, a 2-piece suit, briefcase, and black mirror lens sunglasses. He boards a plane in Portland, Oregon, and heads north for SeaTac Airport in Seattle, Washington. Once at max altitude, he began an even flow of requests for whiskey, as well as notes, threats of grenades, bombs, and a revolver stashed away in his briefcase. He demands 3 parachutes and $200,000. Once it arrived at SeaTac, the plane landed, releasing all passengers except for Dan.
And so now I'm thinking one thing. This guy is threatening our life.
Then, once again, the plane takes off, but it does not leave Seattle airspace. Flying in circles as below, the FBI gathered the necessary money from a nearby Wells Fargo bank. Then once the plane had landed, acquired the money, and once more taken off, Cooper made the request to be flown to Reno, Nevada. Dan never makes it. Once he reached the border between Washington and Oregon, he dropped the air stairs in the back of the plane and parachuted off into the night, along with $200,000, never to be seen again. This Dan Cooper, thanks to a confused reporter, would become known as the pop culture idol D.B. Cooper. After Cooper, a wave of copycats would appear throughout the years, from ex-Green Beret Richard Floyd McCoy, a prime suspect for the real identity of D.B. Cooper, to Francis Goodall, a traumatized Nam vet wielding dual revolver pistols demanding a ransom of $500,000, all of which he would donate to the South Vietnamese children he had hurt during the Vietnam War, a real Robin Hood. With this sudden influx of air piracy, the government started to get concerned. They wanted some form of security, some way to protect passengers, but airline companies disagreed. They thought if they were to put in metal detectors, X-rays, and baggage checks, they would scare away customers, so things mostly remained the same. Few airports got some minor security measures, but not many. Meanwhile, the D.B. Cooper fan base grew. He became a pop culture mascot of the 70s. Conspiracy emerged, such as how Cooper was potentially an ex-FBI agent, CIA operative with a whole extraction team, testing to see how the world would react to such an event. This group of conspiracy theorists, fans, hippies, and men in their midlife crisis became the Cooper Vortex, a fan base so tight, so devoted, it was a borderline religion for some people. But Cooper did more than jump off a plane in the middle of the night, duffel bags of dough in hand. He triggered more than a nerdy fan base. He inspired more people to commit crime, leading to unnecessary losses of money and life. Jump forward to 1983. PSA, an airline company, bought another airline company, US Air. In this transfer, PSA discovered a flight attendant named David Burke had stolen $69 from cocktail bar receipts. They fired him shortly after, and he was charged with petty theft. Angry, Burke boarded a plane in LA, headed for San Francisco, and halfway through the flight, he pulled a pistol from his bag. He shot 2 or 3 passengers, one of which was his former manager. Afterwards, he headed to the cockpit and shot both pilots. He then steered the plane into a crash course. The plane hit the ground at speeds over Mach 1, killing the remaining 38 passengers, including himself. Instances like this finally convinced airline companies to put in security measures. Kinda. Now, almost every airport had some sort of security, whether it was a quick X-ray, metal detecting rod, or both, but so little that things still slip through the cracks. But no matter what, it dulled the constant onslaught of crime, allowing us to settle into a feeling that this phase in history had faded to some extent. Although there was the occasional incident, the world floated into the 21st century in this manner, and when America least expected it, the worst hit like a bullet to the chest. Everyone knows the story from here. It's taught in schools, mourned every year, and is a source of many dark humor jokes among teenagers. 9/11, the four most fatal cases of skyjacking in the world. But first, rewind to the 1980s. The Afghan-Russian war is in full swing, and the US sends money to the Afghan Mujahideen army, and that, the Bin Laden family, specifically Osama bin Laden, who trained the Mujahideen army. Well, this money did not change his mind on America. Osama was angry at their support of Israel, as well as other matters, so mad in fact that he thought we should be punished.
We declared a jihad, a holy war, against the United States government, because it is unjust, criminal, and tyrannical.
And then came the fall of the Twin Towers, 1/5 of the Pentagon, and smithereens. But 9/11 was more than some buildings being destroyed. The list of fatalities was so long that the enraged US government started the Afghan War, which only ended in 2021. But the war wasn't the only repercussion of 9/11. The most notable that we are still experiencing today, and will indefinitely, is modern airport security. But not to give all the credit to 9/11, it was just the final straw for the US and the rest of the world. We were thinking, we don't want this to happen again, and other countries were thinking, we don't want this to happen to us. So we finally pushed for more security. All it took was 1,234 passengers to die. But in all, it taught us a lesson. We learned that safety should come over commercialism, at least for the most part, leading us to reform the security system to what it is today. This reformation of our security filtered out skyjackers, not just by catching them, but by intimidating them and scaring them away. Since 2001, there have only been 2 attempted skyjackings, neither of which successful. The first took place in Alaska when a man attempted to hijack a Cessna containing 9 passengers. The pilot shoved him out of the cockpit, and the other passengers restrained him. The most recent was when an off-duty pilot, sitting jump seat, attempted to pull the engine fire extinguisher, which would cut off fuel to the engine, resulting in a flameout, but was unsuccessful when the crew pushed him back into his seat and restrained him. We have gone from almost 5 hijackings a week in the 60s to 2 failed attempts in the past 25 years. What this means is that, for people born after 2001, skyjacking is a thing of legends, something we have never experienced and will never experience indefinitely, which is why I am so attracted to this period in US history. Even if it remains forgotten and unknown by so many people, it is a powerful point in history, when boarding a plane was a matter of money, life, and death. Every person has a motive. That motive is, in its simplest form, a reaction to their desperate want for change. They are all reacting to their want to change something. And in the case of skyjackers, that change can span from a change in the structural makeup of the DoD's headquarters to a change in their own feelings of guilt for killing so many as a foot soldier in Vietnam.